Chaplin remained deeply affected by his problems with the United States. His studio and his home in Beverly Hills were sold off, and, as a final insult, Una handed in her passport and gave up her American citizenship. It was here, in this library, that Chaplin would write his film scores and dictate his last screenplays. One day, Michael, her 7-year-old son, homesick for their golden life in California, came into Chaplin's study singing "God Bless America." Jerry remembered how Chaplin began to scream for Una to get the boy out of there. His creative juices were stirring again. To work is to live, and I want to live. Chaplin sought a way of bringing back his tramp character in the body of an old man. He quickly gave up the idea, realizing that what made his tramp work as a character was his walk, his agility, his ability to escape danger through acrobatics. No, he had to find a new character. He briefly entertained the idea of reviving Verdu. Jerry and Una objected immediately. Well then, he said, how about a king? In fact, he had recently met some deposed monarchs at a local reception. One thing intrigued him, the way these kings had of escaping revolutions. For days afterwards, Jerry recalled, we sat on the lawn and I took notes as he improvised ideas and sequences. Where they were leading, he did not know, but he soon had an opening sequence. Chaplin now had the two main elements of his film, the opening scene and the main character. All he had to do now was to put him through trials and tribulations, a good deal of them, which he would overcome one after the other for 90 minutes.
Where is he? He's gone! Where? To the treasury!
This satiric comedy was entirely set in the United States. Chaplin was highly excited. Still, the screenplay would be 2 years in the writing.
Traitor!
He decided to shoot in London, fairly nervous about working without his old crew. He personally financed the film, and Jerry put the production together. The casting got underway. For the lead female role, he first considered his son Sidney's girlfriend, Kay Kendall. But in the end, Dawn Adams, a British actress engaged to Prince Vittorio Massimo, got the part. A more delicate bit of casting was that of the child who would become the heart of the picture. After a number of screen tests, he cast his son, Michael. Shooting got underway in the spring during a cold wave in the utmost secrecy. It was a closed-set production and off-limits to the press. Chaplin felt uneasy, like a foreigner, far from the friendly working relationships he had established in his Hollywood studio. Back there, the world had been at his feet. If he had a last-minute idea of using a string of sausages or the Eiffel Tower for a gag, he did it immediately. But at Shepperton Studios, he was told it was impossible, that it wasn't provided for in the props list. His relationship with the director of photography, Georges Perinal, was fraught with tension. He criticized Perinal for taking too much time to light scenes. "Turn on all the lights," he would order him. "I have to give a performance. I don't give a goddamn about your artistic effects. It's a comedy. We need light."
It's about telling the story, not about showing off a technique ever for him. So, and the essence of all of his camera positions or the style of the film or how much cutting there is really always seems to just be there to advance the story. There's a sequence where the king and his ambassador, they're peeking through a keyhole into the next room where they see this naked girl in the bathtub, and she turns out to be an advertising specialist, right? But Even when they're looking through the keyhole, she looks directly at them as though she's already on TV, you know? And we don't know anything about her yet, but yeah, this eye contact is very Chaplin-esque, you know, very astute and stylistically brilliant. It made me laugh out loud.
Chaplin wrapped his film in 10 weeks, a record in his production of feature films. He edited the film in Paris. His one-time associates at United Artists, already reticent upon reading the script, arrived. Shocked by the negative vision of America, they refused to distribute it. A King in New York would only be released in the United States 15 years later, shortened by 10 minutes. Chaplin personally conducted the recording of his music.
Certainly Chaplin's films are musical in rhythm, and he is, in a sense, a dancer as well, so he understands the rhythm even of a human body moving through a room. But what's really, really impressive to me is the simple fact that he created the music himself, you know? He is truly, maybe the first truly independent master of cinema, because he has control over everything in his films.
The premiere was held in London on September 12, 1957. Reacting to the lukewarm reception of audiences in the press, he said, "My picture isn't political. The film is a satire. This is my most rebellious film. I refuse to be part of this dying civilization they talk about."
This film is political. There's no way you can say it's not, and in a very beautiful way, because it is very funny and it is a very interesting story from many aspects, a very human story, but he fills it with politics.
The committee cites this witness for contempt of Congress.
That's very unsportsmanlike on your part.
I almost want to jump up and cheer when he sprays the house on Un-American activities with a big fire hose. I mean, so he even is, in a way, a warrior, a comedic warrior and provocateur with this film. And this young boy, played by Michael Chaplin in the film, he's talking about the monopoly of power as the menace of freedom, and, you know, he also predicts all this monopolization and corporatization. The kid even mentions chain stores and the automobile industry, and, you know, he's very, very, this is really beautiful, the things he says. Of course, Chaplin's also making fun of him by his way of saying it, but really the heart of the film is in, you know, for me, politically, is in this character.
Ah, very interesting. This, Your Majesty, is Rupert, our young editor. How do you do, Rupert?
How do you do?
Sit down. And what's that you're reading?
Karl Marx?
Surely you're not a communist.
Do I have to be a communist to read Karl Marx?
Rupert. That's a valid answer. Well, if you're not a communist, what are you?
Nothing.
Nothing?
I dislike all forms of government.
But somebody must rule.
And I don't like the word rule.
Well, if we don't like the word rule, let's call it leadership.
Leadership in government is political power, and political power is an official form of antagonizing the people. They have become the weapons of political despots.
Yes, but may I...
And if you don't think as they think, you're deprived of your passport.
Will you allow me
to leave a country is like breaking out of jail.
Yes,
and to enter a country is like going through the eye of a needle.
But
am I free to travel?
Of course you're free to travel.
Only with a passport.
Will you allow me to say something?
Only with a passport. And free speech, does that exist?
No, you've got it all.
And free enterprise.
We were talking of passports.
Today it's all monopoly.
All right. Now will you...
Can I go into the automobile business and compete with the auto trust?
If I can get in a word...
Not a chance. Can I go into the grocery business and compete with the chain stores?
Will you shut up?
Not a chance.
Il avait d'abord prévu pour moi le rôle du jeune homme qui est là derrière, qui est en train de lui souffler des petits pois dans l'oreille. Et finalement, on a travaillé un peu ensemble et il a décidé de me donner l'autre rôle plus important. Et bon, formidable pour moi.
Today, man has too much power. The Roman Empire collapsed with the assassination of Caesar. And why? Because of too much power. Feudalism blew up with the French Revolution. And why? Because of too much power. And today, the whole world will blow up. And why?
Because of too much power.
Je comprenais pas vraiment ce que j'étais en train de réciter, mais je pense qu'il m'a jamais expliqué vraiment. Il a surtout, il m'a donné un peu le ton à donner, l'émotion à mettre dedans et il a joué le rôle lui-même et je l'ai beaucoup imité et c'est comme ça que je l'ai fait. J'étais vraiment entouré par mon père à chaque moment du tournage. J'étais vraiment à côté de moi. Il m'a fait tout faire, quoi. Et moi, j'étais tellement content d'avoir cette relation avec lui que j'avais pas vraiment travaillé avec lui. C'était formidable, quoi. J'avais pas ça vraiment avant ni même après. C'était vraiment un moment spécial qu'on a passé ensemble.
Don't you remember me?
I should say I do, the most obnoxious brat I've ever met.
C'était un père assez difficile, mais alors là, c'était vraiment quelque chose d'unique, quoi.
Oh, you don't?
C'était un grand comique, un génie. Je ne vais pas dire que c'était le père idéal, non, mais je pense qu'on peut pas tout faire, quoi.
I got the weeping willows, and I'm stepping through plate windows on account of you.
Il avait un love-hate, comme on dit en anglais, une relation d'amour et de haine avec l'Amérique. Mais il disait toujours qu'il ne pourrait jamais vraiment en vouloir à l'Amérique parce que c'est un pays qui lui a tout donné. C'était un anarchiste, on voit ça, c'était quelqu'un c'était un marginal. Le personnage qu'il a créé, c'était un personnage de marginal. Mais quand même, il y avait quelque chose en lui de profondément bourgeois aussi. C'est un homme très complexe. Justement, quand il travaillait sur sa terrasse, il était toujours en guerre avec des corbeaux qui venaient faire des trous dans le gazon en cherchant des vers blancs. Et je me souviens, il avait un miroir. Il avait trouvé le système avec un miroir de refléter le soleil dans les yeux des oiseaux pour qu'ils s'envolent et laissent son gazon tranquille.
This is no ordinary orchestral rehearsal. And the man on the rostrum is no ordinary man. He is that clown, genius, superb master of all trades, Charles Chaplin, here about to conduct the music composed by himself for his latest film, A King in New York. Charles Chaplin, actor, clown, storyteller, scriptwriter, and now conductor, Sir Malcolm Sargent and Igor Stravinsky had better look to their laurels, here takes his place on the rostrum for the first time to add yet another accomplishment to his credit. This fabulous figure, known affectionately throughout the world as Charlie, who has made us laugh and cry through 3 generations, now returns once more triumphant to delight us anew with this latest evidence of his genius. Mandolin Serenade from A King in New York.
Un mois